In this video, I'm going to be going over, in my opinion, the best teams to use in the EA College Football 25 Dynasty mode. Now, real quick, I do want to say this before the video kind of starts. This is the first video on this channel, and I have, basically in this channel, a bunch of videos are going to be coming out only for college football related stuff. So once the new college football game comes out, I'm going to have tons of different series on the channel, so it's going to be really fun. Actually, it's series, not series. I don't know what I'm talking about, but... And I do want to say I have another channel that is strictly related on just Madden and NFL content, so go check out that channel. It should be in the link in the description. If not, then it'll be on this channel when you go to feature channels. And now let's get into the video. So I have 10 teams on this list, and basically what you want to do, the whole premise of starting a dynasty mode in the college football game is using a bad team and kind of bringing them up to be extremely good. Now there's only like 2 teams on this list that are gonna be good in the start, but they're gonna quickly be really bad. So let's get into it. So number 1, we have the most basic choice of all time. We have Colorado, and the team is good. All right, they have Travis Hunter, they have this Sanders brothers and stuff. And it's gonna be a good school, but it's only gonna be a good school for like 1 to 2 years, because after 1 to 2 years, Shador and Travis Hunter are gonna have to leave, and I'm assuming Shiloh eventually as well. So once you lose Travis Hunter and Shador, you're really screwed, because the team besides them is really not that good. And especially last year, they weren't good either. So it's gonna be a really interesting team to rebuild. They have a 6 stadium. They're pretty elevated. They're in the Colorado area, so they're gonna they really won't have that much competition against Colorado State if they're an FBS school, which that should not be that hard. You should be getting some decent recruits. But overall, it's a really good team. But only pick this team if you want to be really good in a year or 2, because you already have 3 really solid superstar players. So Colorado, I'm not going to be picking them for my first Dynasty series, but it's definitely a team that you could choose, which would be cool because you get Travis Hunter. And anyways, number 2, we have Boise State. Now with Boise State, all right, they have multiple 5-star young players that they just recruited. So I think they have like 2 5-star players that they recruited that they brought over to Boise State. But besides that, their team really isn't that good. But here's the reason why you'd want to pick Boise State, besides, the couple good players, is the blue field. Dude, there is no team in college that has a blue freaking field that is sick, in my opinion. And in terms of, the setting, they have a great setting. They're in the mountains, literally, they're in Idaho. And, once you rebuild them, you could finally get them to get more success as a franchise, because really, the Boise State has not been good, all right? They're a pretty bad team, but in terms of the uniforms, the blue field, the setting, basically where you are is just sick. And to top it off, if you really want it to be hard, there's not going to be that many good recruits that are going to want to go to Boise State, because no one wants to go live in Idaho, all right? I'm going to be dead honest with you guys. No one wants to do that, so it's definitely going to be pretty interesting to be able to bring over these maybe 4-star, 5-star recruits to Boise State. It's going to be tough, and you're really going to have to work for it. And then number 3, which is the team that I'm going to be choosing for my first Dynasty series, is Minnesota. And there's a multitude of reasons on why I'm going to choose Minnesota, because number 1, you're going to have to compete against some really good schools in the conference. So in the division that Minnesota plays, it's stacked. They're going to play against, a bunch of hard teams. And plus, it's going to be difficult to try to persuade players to come all the way up to Minnesota. Same thing with Boise State. Just not that many people want to go live in Minnesota. It's simple. And also, tons of different uniform options. So really customizable, and you get snow games as well. So another thing that I wanted to point out is snow games, because snow games are sick. And to top it off, I wanted to pick a school that does get, snow games very often, because they implemented this thing in the game where you're really prone to fumbling, you're prone to dropping the ball, prone to missing a lot of kicks. So it'll make the games even more tough to play when you're in a snow game, for example, or if you're in a rain game. And another thing about setting up a dynasty is you want to have a bunch of different uniform options and really customizable, so that you don't feel like you're going into the same game always with the same uniform. So Minnesota, I believe they have like 20 different uniform options or 20 different helmets. I mean, it's honestly incredible. And not only do they have a lot of options for the uniforms, but they're sick. Literally, they are so nice. So definitely gonna want to use Minnesota. And the other thing is, trying to persuade players to come all the way up to Minnesota. Minnesota is not a good team, so it's gonna be tough to bring up those players, but I think it's going to be a really good series on the channel. And yes, I kind of spoiled it already. I am going to be using Minnesota, and that's why I had to, put it on this list, because Minnesota is definitely one of the best schools to use, and mainly it's, the different uniform options and everything. It's just really sick. Then we have number 4, which is James Madison. Now, James Madison, I really only put on this list because they just joined the FBS like either last year or a year or two ago. So they're a really new team, which means that you'll be able to set, really easy records already, like maybe scoring the most points on, franchise history, or bringing them their first national championship, which obviously they haven't had because, they've been in the FCS for so long. So being able to break tons of records and bring them their first national championship, always feels good. And James Madison is a horrible school when it comes to, FBS schools. So they suck. But another reason why you also want to pick James Madison is the stadium is sick. You also get like the brick wall background on the stadium. It looks sick. The jerseys are super cool. They're like purple and white. I don't know. They look hard. And then also not a good team, which I already kind of mentioned, which would be hard to make them good. Very true information right there. They also joined like a year or two anyways. So really, really young school. It's going to be tough to bring them, up to where they could potentially be a top 25 school. But right now they suck. They're not a good school. And you can kind of see the theme of this list is using a bad school, right? You don't want to freaking go ahead and use Alabama because, like, dude, what's the point of making a Dynasty series if you're going to use Alabama or Georgia or all these other, top schools in the nation? Like, why? Why would you do that? You want to pick a bad school, or maybe a school that has 1 or 2, maybe 3 good players, but that will leave in 1 year, so that, kind of makes it harder. But number 5, we have any military school, for example, Army, Air Force, Navy, literally all those military schools, all they do is run the damn ball. So if you guys are into running the ball, all these different military schools are going to have a ton of, different running plays, triple option, and all this stuff that are going to be in the playbooks. So for example, Army, they all suck, right? So it'll be challenging to make them good. Like literally, I don't think they've ever been good ever. Plus they run the ball the majority of the time, so you will have a lot of running plays in the playbook. For example, triple option, which is going to be sick in the new college football game. So definitely go ahead, try that out. It'll be extremely tough because not many, actual football players that want to make it to the NFL go to these, military schools, because a lot of the guys that play at the military school don't go to the NFL. They actually go to the military, whatever they want to do. And then number 6, we have my favorite university. We have Miami. Now, here's the thing, right? Miami is always a top 25 school every year, yet we suck every year, right? I don't understand it. But the reason why you'd want to pick these guys is they are located in a good area. Obviously, Miami, Florida. Everyone wants to go to Miami, Florida. So it should be a little easier to get these recruits. But the problem is you'll be, kind of up against, the Gators and FSU in terms of getting all these really good recruits from Florida. And despite us being a big name school, every year we suck. Also, our best player just got drafted. So, we're not going to have Cam Kinchins anymore. We're not going to have our center anymore. We're not going to have a bunch of players. And plus, the Miami just got a top 10 QB in the nation, Cam Ward from Washington State. So basically the whole roster really isn't that incredible, but you do have a top 10 QB in Cam Ward, which will be on the team maybe 1 to 2 years, so that's fine. But you have a good QB, but then the rest of the team is really not that good. Xavier Restrepo is going to end up going to the NFL, or at least declaring for the draft maybe after 1 year. So a lot of these quote-unquote good players at Miami are going to move on extremely quickly. So very interesting stuff. The only downside of picking Miami is they play at the Dolphin Stadium, and as a person that plays Madden all the time, like, I don't want to be playing in an NFL stadium when I already do that in Madden. Like, the whole point is to kind of play in a different stadium that you've never played in before. So that's kind of the whole focus right there. And then number 7 is if you truly hate yourself, right? If you truly hate yourself, pick the worst rated school in the game, all right? So whatever school this may be, whether it's Kennesaw State, UMass, Navy, or freaking, I don't know, James Madison, just literally pick the worst rated school in the game. So whichever school that will be, and it literally will be the hardest thing of all time, because really, truthfully, no one's going to want to go there. It's going to be extremely difficult to sign these good recruits to even come to your school. I mean, like, dude, no one's going to want to go to freaking wherever, right? Like, no one's going to want to go to, I don't know, James Madison University. So definitely don't want to do that. Number 8 is going to be Michigan State. The reason why Michigan State is even on this list is because you're basically going to be having to compete against Michigan every single year when it comes to recruiting all these good players. So, for example, all the, high schoolers that are trying to go to college that are from Michigan, like the state of Michigan, are not going to want to go to Michigan State over Michigan, right? Like, that's just, it's not going to happen because, I'd rather go to a better school than a worse school. So that's just kind of how it's going to be working every single year. So as you're using Michigan State, you're going to have to basically, live with getting screwed over by Michigan almost every single year when it comes to getting these 5-star and even 4-star recruits. Now, every once in a while, you will get some, extremely top guys going to your school, but it's not going to be as often as if you picked Michigan, for example. Then we have number 9. Which also, before I get into actually number 9, Michigan State, I don't think they've ever won a national championship, and if they have, it's been a while. So definitely, it would be nice to bring them national championship. Then we have number 9, which definitely has never won a natty, which is Akron. The reason why this school is on the list is because no one wants to go here, right? No one wants to go to Akron, so it's gonna be one of the hardest teams to have to, rebuild. It's, I believe, in the state of Ohio, so you're gonna have to compete with Ohio State to get all these good recruits coming out of the state of Ohio. So it's gonna be pretty interesting right there. And like I said, no one wants to go to Akron, so it's gonna be extremely difficult to bring these top, recruits to your school. And even if you do get some of these recruits, the team is just really bad, and it's gonna be extremely difficult to bring them to a national championship, which they've never won. So that would also be nice, because it's always nice to bring a team their first national championship win. And then the final team on this list is basically like one of the better teams in the game, but the only reason why this team is on the list, and really you only want to pick this team if you want to be good for 1 or 2 years, because you have a god tier running back, like a top 3 running back in the nation, and you have like a top 10 QB. You have Jackson Dart, which both of them are really good at their position, but they're only going to be on the team for maybe 1 to 2 years, so you're really going to have to take advantage of having them on the team. So really only pick this team if you want to be good for 1 or 2 years, and then after that, your team is not going to be as good, because all these good players are going to want to declare for the NFL draft. So anyways, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you guys already haven't, and definitely gonna have a ton of more college football videos on the channel. Just, give me some time. But yeah, this definitely, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.